Welcome back to The Practical Pregnancy, where we are on a mission to take the fear out of pregnancy and replace it with facts. We want you to have evidence-based information that helps you make good decisions in your pregnancy and in your birth. So welcome to our channel. And if you like the content that you're ingesting today, then hit that like button and subscribe for more content coming into your inbox daily. Now, when I said information you're ingesting, that was intentional. It was a pun, kind of an old man joke, I guess, but no offense, old men. So when I said ingest, that was intentional. Today, we're going to talk about what to eat when you're pregnant. Now, this will by no means be a full discussion of every single food you should eat, but I want to talk about some common myths around eating in pregnancy and around nutrition in pregnancy. So many times people feel like, and they're told when they get pregnant, oh, you can't eat this and you can't eat that and you can't eat this other thing. It'll all be dangerous. And I just want to add a little bit of common sense into that. Eating these foods in pregnancy doesn't suddenly make them dangerous because you're pregnant. Pregnancy is a time for many women where they suddenly start taking a harder look at what they are eating. And we do know what we put in our bodies as fuel can impact us not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, in every way. And that old adage, you are what you eat, is actually pretty factual. So pregnancy can be a really good time to take a look at your diet and your nutrition and make some tweaks and make some changes. Not because you're afraid of eating a certain food in pregnancy because it's going to hurt the baby, but because you just want to be healthier overall, and you want to be healthy for you and you want to be healthy for your baby and give your baby the best start even in the womb. So that said, basically nothing's off limits. And when people ask me, well, what should I be eating in pregnancy? I always say, eat what you want. Now, if all you want is cake and cookies and donuts and Coke and, pop and all these other foods that we know aren't good for us anyway, then that eat what you want doesn't really hold. If you're thinking about making some dietary changes, the best things to think about are eating foods in their natural state. So what whole foods, as they're talked about, can you start incorporating into your diet? Now, in the first trimester, when many women are dealing with nausea, vomiting, they just don't feel well, they've got lots of food aversions, you may not be able to eat as well as possible. And that's when you might have to be a little bit creative about how to get your nutrition bumped up. So things like smoothies, sometimes they'll go down well. You can add lots of greens to smoothies, lots of berries, which are always good, full of antioxidants and nutrients and vitamins and minerals. If you're having your greens and your berries and having them with a good source of fat like avocado, that can often go into a smoothie and be something that's really full of good nutrition, especially when you're not feeling well. And hemp seeds are another way to add protein and healthy fats into your diet that are pretty easy to digest and typically won't cause a lot of aversions when you're feeling really well, or unwell rather, in the first part of pregnancy. Now, any of the foods that you hear don't eat, that there's all this like fear mongering around, like deli meats, and like I can't have a sub, and I can't have sushi, and I can't have raw cheese, and I can't have, the list goes on and on and on. What I would say you probably should think about not having is like lots of pops or diet sodas that have artificial sweeteners in. Artificial sweeteners in general are not good for your health and should be avoided in pregnancy and outside of pregnancy. Things like, fatty fried foods like French fries and anything fast food and processed is typically not going to be the best from a nutritional standpoint and really not the best while you're trying to grow a baby inside of your body. So whole foods, vegetables are a hard one for people. So be creative about how to get those vegetables in, especially like leafy greens. And you want to try and, you'll hear this talked about a lot, eat the rainbow. So making sure you have foods representative from each color of the vegetable and fruit spectrum. Trying to avoid things super high in sugar. Natural sugars obviously are better. Sugars found in fruits are far better than an artificial form of sugar, say in a chocolate bar or cakes or cookies or donuts. So try and get your whole food sources. And then you want to make sure you're eating good sources of protein. Chicken, fish, red meat. Red meat's particularly helpful as a source of iron, which many women are deficient in pregnancy. And having fish, that's a controversial topic always, but the safe amount to have is about 8 to 12 ounces of fish per week. And that's typically about 2 to 3 servings. When we're thinking about fish, we don't have to avoid fish altogether. And this goes also for raw fish, sashimi, raw fish found on sushi, is keeping it to a moderate amount and eating fish that are lower in mercury. So typically young fish have less time to store mercury in their bodies, and they're typically better to eat. So things like sardines or mackerel or salmon, or I'm just checking my list here to make sure I'm telling you all the ones. Shellfish, they're typically like prawns or shrimps or scallops or oysters. They're going to typically overall have a lower content of mercury and be a safer fish to eat. Fish have so many benefits for you in terms of the fatty acids that you get from fish, and the protein itself as a lean protein. So don't eliminate fish altogether. If you don't like fish, maybe it's a good time to try and experiment with some different types of fish that maybe you'll find you actually do like, and it can be a really important addition for your own health and for your developing baby. Things like nuts and seeds, that can be an easy way to help get some good fats and some proteins. Of course, try and limit eating a lot of those things because they can be hard on your digestive system, and everybody's different. So listen to your body, eat what your body likes, what your body typically responds well to, and don't forget to include healthy sources of fat. Fat often gets a bad rap when people talk about diets and talk about eating, although in recent years, there's a lot more information available, and I think people are starting to really understand that fat is your friend, not your enemy. But we want to have those healthy sources of fat. Staying away from a lot of the seed and vegetable oils, which aren't so good for you, is probably a good idea. Safe oils to eat are refined or extra virgin coconut oil, not refined coconut oil. Olive oil from good sources, and if an olive oil is good if it leaves a bit of a burn at the back of your throat when you taste it. That's like your high quality olive oil where you're going to get the best bang for your buck. And then things like ghee, butter, and avocado oil is a good one as well for you. So trying to stick to those things as your fats if you're using them on salad dressings. If you're cooking with oil, make sure it's something that can tolerate high heat, like butter or ghee, or lard from healthy pork, or tallow from beef. That's a really good source of fat that has a high melting point or a high cooking point, where it's not going to put off all the nasties when you put it to a higher heat, and that's safe to cook with as well. Avocado oil is usually safe as well, as is coconut oil. Did I say that already? I don't remember. So just do your homework on those things, but remember, whole foods are the best way. Anything that hasn't been processed or manufactured is going to be healthier for you and for your baby. Everything in moderation is reasonable. It doesn't mean you can never have a cookie. It doesn't mean you can never have a slice of cake. So everything in moderation is usually reasonable. Obviously, you have to have a quote unquote treat sometimes. You might have a piece of cake, you might have a cookie, you might have a muffin, you might even have a donut. You might even have French fries. As long as they're the one-off, they're not the norm for your diet, then you should be well on your way to eating well for you and your baby. And one thing about nutrition in pregnancy, oh, sorry, that's Gibson in the background. He's our dog here. He's excited about what's going on at the moment. One thing about nutrition in pregnancy as well is to try not to drink your calories. So you want to make sure, again, you're eating the whole fruit instead of having a lot of fruit juice. And if you are having juice, if you can have it as closely to its natural form as possible, then that's better than things that are highly processed or from concentrate with a lot of other sugar additives. So start reading your labels. It's a good time, if you don't do that already, to get familiar with what's in your food. And the more ingredients there are, typically the less nutritious it might be for you. So pick things with short lists of ingredients. And of course, if you're eating it in its whole food source, there is no ingredient list, and you know that it's going to be healthy for you. And the goal always is to eat in balance and to learn what your body likes, because we all process things differently, and listen to your body. Listen to how you feel, or think about how you feel after you eat certain foods. Do you feel energized? Do you feel well? Or do you feel really sluggish and feel sleepy? Those can be good clues and cues that maybe that particular food doesn't sit so well with you. So just things to think about. And of course, if you want to really work on your nutrition, working with a functional nutritionist or a dietitian or a holistic nutritionist, those things can be really helpful for finding ways to eat that are beneficial for you and tailored specifically to your needs. This goes for breastfeeding as well. Nutrition while breastfeeding is really important, that you're eating healthy foods, that you're getting enough hydration, and that you're getting enough calories. The calories required for breastfeeding are actually more than the calories required for pregnancy. So your body has a lot of a demand on it when you're making milk for your baby, and you want to be able to support yourself well through that. And that's where eating healthy fats can be really important as well, is when you're trying to make milk, you want to have good support nutritionally on board for yourself as you're making food for your baby. So I hope this information has been helpful to get you thinking about what you're eating while you're pregnant. Try to avoid the old adage, you know, I'm eating for two, so I can eat whatever I want. That's a surefire way to put on excess weight in pregnancy that you won't want and will just be harder to get rid of afterwards. We want to try and maintain a healthy body weight. We want to eat so that we're fully satisfied and we're fueling our body with good nutrition that's going to help our brains, our bodies, everything, and our babies as we're moving through the pregnancy and the birth. Being well nourished helps you have a well mind and is really important for not just your physical health, but your mental and emotional health as well. So hopefully you found this helpful. Tune in to the next video where we'll be talking about some other popular topics in pregnancy and in birth. And if there's anything you want us to talk about, you've got questions for us, please leave it in the comments below. And as always, please smash that like button if this content has been helpful to you, and subscribe. It really helps us get more content out. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.